Hi, welcome back to Ridgehaven Homestead, and thank you for joining me in my herb garden. Today I'm going to do a rather quick little video, and I'm showing you how to make Anise Hyssop blend tea. The component of this tea is the Anise Hyssop, but I also like to add lemon verbena and holy basil. And the holy basil is going to have to be from dry because it's not growing yet, but my lemon verbena and my Anise Hyssop are doing well. And the reason I'm doing this now, I actually thought that I made this video last fall when I talked about the Anise Hyssop, but lo and behold, I did not. And I was talking to my husband today, and I had no idea that he had not sampled this. I really feel like he has, but he can't remember that. And so I'm going to go ahead and make a jar of this to be icing for when he gets home, because I know that I've made it in the hot days of last summer, and I know the boys and I definitely shared some, but whether Greg got any of that, I just can't remember. So let's just get it going. I'll show you what goes in it. It's very simple, very delicious, and very rewarding. We're starting here with the Anise Hyssop, which I harvested some of last week, and it's already grown up to a place that it can be harvested again. When you harvest the Anise Hyssop, all you have to do is break off the stem, or you can cut it. Either way, whichever works for you. I'm going to be breaking off the pieces, and I actually did cut these back a week or so ago, and they are making new leaves from the last time. I just haven't given it enough time to really make more branches, but if you can see this one here, I had pinched it off and it grew. It's making the two new leaves branching out more. So that's what we want. And when we break it off or cut it off, it's gonna do that again. I'm not this time getting enough to dry and make a big load in the dehydrator like I did last time. I'm just making enough for a good amount of tea. The kind that we're making, that I mentioned with the holy basil, the Anise Hyssop, and the lemon verbena, is the most refreshing one that I have experienced so far. The lemon verbena here has not grown up as much since I harvested it last time. A little bit slower to grow. I was not planning to do this, but since we have this growing in abundance, and since I think it will be a wonderful addition, I am going to grab some of this spearmint to add to it. This is not like a true minty, pepperminty flavor. It's more of a, well, it's a spearmint, and it's fruity, and I think it will pair very well with the other herbs. It smells delicious. And while I'm up here, I'm going to ease a few sprigs. I told one of my friends I would give her some. Mint is so hardy that it's practically impossible to kill. So giving, just pulling it up out of the ground, I think will be fine, because look at how many roots are on there. All she'll really need to do is, if she wants to put it in water to root it a little bit better, she can do that. Or just throw it in the ground and keep it moist. It's almost, like I said, impossible to kill mint. I have a pretty good amount of herbs. Some of them are smushed down into my little bucket, but I think this will be plenty for making a half gallon of tea. and I think it'll be a fairly strong concoction. So we can brew it and then we can dilute it a little bit, which will be just fine. We've got water boiling, we've got herbs to rinse off, which won't be a big deal. And I've got the herbs for my friend in the bag, ready to go, so they will not dry out. And let's take these herbs and wash them off. Some of the herbs get a little bit dirty just from mud splashing up on them. You can definitely smell the lemon verbena in this bunch. If I were just doing a small batch for myself, I would probably use a French press and put the herbs in the bottom, pour the boiling water over it, and then let it be pressed out later. But since I'm making a bigger one, I'm going to use a big jar. All you have to do is stuff those herbs down into the jar. If you want to remove the stems, you can. If you decide that it seems to be bitter with the stems on, some people find that. It doesn't really bother me, and so I'm putting the whole stem, leaves, everything intact, and I'm just stuffing it in there. This is one of those wait and see kind of things. If it's too strong after you steep it for a while, then you can always dilute it. Now if I press these herbs down good and pressed, they're about 1/4 of the way filling up the jar, which is fine. Next comes the boiling water. We just pour it over the herbs. Okay, at this point, I am going to add a lid and let it steep. Now, for making a hot tea, you're going to want it to steep for at least 10 minutes. For a cold tea that you're going to put ice to, it has to be stronger, so because you're going to add ice and that's going to dilute it. And so I am going to let this steep for a while. I'm going to say I'm just going to let it steep for a few hours. The longer you let it steep, the better the flavors will be. And one more thing that I'm going to add before I put the lid on, and that is some stevia. I like to use this stevia from CC Nature. I get it from Amazon in bulk, and it is the least bitter stevia that I've had. So I put about 1/2 teaspoon in there. I'm just going to put a little smidgen more. You cannot take stevia out once you've put it in, so start small and you can always add later. If you add too much stevia, the flavor can be too bitter. If you add the proper amount, it can make it very pleasing. Okay, let it sit out of the way, let it do its thing, let all those flavors marry together, and soon you will have a refreshing, delicious tea. And I forgot one very important component, and that's the holy basil. So let's correct that now. I have been harvesting and drying this holy basil since last summer, and this is last summer's crop, all dried and compressed into this jar. I let them air dry in our basement until they were very crunchy, and then I just crumbled up the leaves into the jars, and that's what we have here. And now my jar is so hot, I don't want to touch it. Okay, I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of the holy basil to this mixture. If I had it fresh, I would definitely use fresh holy basil because it's delicious, but the dried is delicious too. This is not a tablespoon, this is just a random spoon that I have. So I like holy basil, it's very good, it's medicinal, it's good for anxiety and stress, and a host of other wonderful things. Holy basil is just a wonderful herb. I think I did a video about it last fall. Feel free to check that out. And I think we need just a little bit more in this tea. Okay. Play with the different components of it. See which ones you like the best as far as flavor, and make your own adjustments.